Welcome to the portal to new sovereign Earth. Join us as we collectively shift realities and shatter paradigms. I'm your host, Kalina Lux. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 12 of The Portal. We're doing something a little bit special today, and we haven't done anything like this before on the portal before ever, or maybe even in DERO. Today, I am lucky to sit with several of the upcoming featured speakers at Nonsensus. And if you haven't heard about Nonsensus, it is the upcoming private by default blockchain conference. DERO and some people involved in DERO have decided to make their own version called Nonsensus, and I'm super stoked to arrive and meet everybody in person and share. I think it's going to be amazing. So I have Azylem, Kryptoid, DOA, Apollo, BWaldo, CakeMaster, SecretNameBasis, 6 of Clubs, and Slixe. It's incredible. So you guys, how is everybody at this moment today? How are you guys? Welcome.
Hey, doing good.
Hey, what's good?
Doing good here.
We jamming.
Nice. That was perfect. Yeah. So today we're just going to have a very casual chat for you guys. And I'm really excited to pick everybody's brains and get to know and kind of maybe do a catch up for what's been happening over the summer. Anybody want to volunteer to kind of go first? Let's just get like a little introduction for you. If people don't know you, but if you're watching this episode, chances are you already know all of these big names in DERO. Azylem, you're first on my list up here. So do you want to just say hi, check in?
Hey guys, been a long time coming, waiting to put a big event together to meet everybody and start talking about some real things and get some stuff done in the world. So I'm excited to see where all this goes.
Yeah, me too. It's pretty exciting. And so you are one of the organizers of this, right? You and Kryptoid?
Yeah, that's right.
And you guys made some kind of like company with the clown on it in the face or something. Do you guys want to talk about that?
Tell us.
Yeah, we needed a company so we could run this properly and get everything done like, the right way. So when we decided we needed a name, we figured we'd name it some vague nonsense. And we just ended up naming it Vague Nonsense. So that's the name of the company that's actually running the event. It's basically just a way that we can actually get this done the right way, get a, merchant accounts and stuff like that, and make sure that, everything's above board with the event.
Nice. Yeah. And so do you want to talk a little bit about your inspiration for the event?
Yeah. So just seeing the current state of everything in crypto and, going to events and seeing things, and they just seem like finance conferences. It's like hanging out with a bunch of bankers, and it didn't make any sense to us. So we really just wanted to get back to what crypto is supposed to be about, the tech and the freedom and all that stuff, instead of focusing on how we can tie the blockchain back into the legacy financial system. That seems to be what everybody else seems to be interested in.
So you guys went to Consensus, right? And that's kind of like what spurred the Nonsensus idea. And like, were you just so jaded with that? I mean, the way you describe it seems really kind of boring.
I don't know if it was Consensus specifically, but it was really just, after we were hanging out a bit at Consensus, we were just thinking that a lot of these talks aren't related to what people even seem interested in. I mean, the biggest speaker at Consensus was Edward Snowden, and he had the biggest crowd by far, but he was one of the few speakers that was actually speaking on topics of privacy or freedom or how to protect yourself or anything like that. So it was really strange that the majority of the people there really seemed like they wanted to dive deeper into the tech and stuff, but that's just not what the talk seemed to be about.
Yeah. Would you say it's accurate to say that this is a response to kind of fill in those missing pieces regarding the most important part of crypto to protect your privacy?
I think really it's an event for our community and our type of people that we seem to attract in our community, which is people who actually care about the core values of crypto. It's not necessarily a response to one event directly, just kind of a response to how the world has been going lately.
People want something real. The last 5 to 8 years, there hasn't been much on that front. So, when DERO launched the Stargate platform, the entire industry was kind of changed all at once. And that's not being talked about properly. So we got to do something about that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's awesome. And I think it's just such a cool change of the flow. Like DERO has always been, it's always felt like we were almost scared to live our lives, right? Like we had to have our 2 super separate lives. And while I think that there is a lot of value in that as well, I really like this push that we're like coming into our own community empowered, because really if DERO protects us, then we should feel that we're already protected to kind of do some events more like this. And I think you guys have done a really great job at setting up an intermediary where people are allowed to either purchase through secrets in his Discord, you know, to still kind of maintain a little layer of anonymity, or use gift cards, or I like that. So that's really nice how you're creating this like comfort zone for us to step out and to transfer back and forth from the deep anon to our public, actual, physical, third dimensional persons. So maybe Secret, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Galena. I really appreciate getting a chance to be here. I just know that a lot of people were really interested in the event and had questions about utilizing, fiat gateways for attending a privacy conference. So I just made a casual offer, like if that's a concern to you, you can just, pay me DERO and I'll buy it for you. I run a business. My business will just buy it, and there you go. So it's like a layer of anonymity, and it was just kind of just casual. I wasn't like looking to like woo or anything like that. And I'm going to be, quite frank. There hasn't been really anybody who's taken me up on that. I think it's because people are willing to take accountability for their own person and do that. So that's really cool to see. There's some cool stuff that actually came out of that, and I'll talk about that later. But yeah, so if it is a concern, you can always come talk to Secret and throw DERO his way to buy your ticket. So that's just a casual offer.
Right on. And so, I mean, before we really get too much into how people can buy tickets, I feel like we should talk about like why they should buy tickets, right? So we've got all these amazing speakers on here, like I just mentioned, and some people on this list have never spoken publicly or even online about DERO before. And I'm really excited to hear a little bit about what you guys plan on sharing. So I'm just going to go down my list here. BWaldo, you're next up on my list. And do you want to share a little bit about what you are planning to share at the event?
All right. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm very excited to be around fellow cypherpunks. I've always considered myself a cypherpunk and enjoyed the tech side of the internet and generally anything. But the convention, I plan to speak about mining, and I'm a little nervous if you can't tell just by me speaking now, because it's such a complex topic, and I will be speaking to people who are already pretty knowledgeable on how mining works. So I'm going to have to flesh out some pretty broad things like ASICs and FPGAs and things like that. So it can get a little complicated, and I have a lot of work cut out for me as far as what I got to do to present this in layman's. But it's going to be very fun, because at the end of it, everyone will feel like they can come to DERO and mine and support the network and freedom and privacy, and and not feel like it's a chore or a bother, or you have to get this expensive gear or have all of these tech things. So I'm stoked, and I'm a bit nervous, but I'm sure that will wear off. And I got a good network of people to ask around if I run into any kind of questions. So that's always feels great. And I'm stoked. I can't wait.
I know that was excellent. And sorry, my cat's just jumping on my equipment, so I'm admonishing him, not you. But yeah, no, you know what? I like how you're stepping up to the challenge for that, because as somebody who knows like zilch about anything technical, and yet I'm forced to speak on it at times because I push myself to, I find that it is the best way to really learn something, right? Like if you can learn something and then teach it to others, and don't forget, like you have an advantage. The fact that you don't know is actually an asset, because in that journey of discovering, you're going to be able to help people who also don't know. Because if you came from like a very technical level, you wouldn't be able to bridge the gaps as easily for people that have no clue. But because you were there too, you'll know how to describe it and explain it to those people. So I think you're the perfect person for the job.
Thank you so much. That was a very well nomination. I was at a loss for what to speak about whenever this idea was first mentioned, the entire event. And I actually spoke with you and was like, hey, I don't know what to talk about. And you're like, you know what, you should try mining. And it's like, yeah, maybe I should. And off we went. So thank you again for that.
Well, I mean, right back at you, because I'm pretty sure you were the first person that really kind of helped me out with things. Like you were my first DERO friend. So thank you for being so nice. Otherwise I would have been like, psh, peace out. Speaking of peacing out, I feel like Slixe just left the group. Let me see if he's gonna try to get back in here.
Still here.
Oh, you're here.
I'm still here. Don't
Oh,
worry.
great. Okay, thank goodness. Well, Slixe, let's since you're here, let's chat about you. It's so exciting. I feel like you're one of the most impactful members in DERO in terms of like the code. What are you going to share? Are you doing a workshop? Are you doing multiple presentations?
Yeah, sure. So first, thanks for inviting me here. As I will for the workshop. I don't know if I will do one or not. I don't know yet. But for the presentation, I will have multiple subjects, like about graviton, what is K advantage for the DERO project. I will speak about the cryptography about DERO. I will also speak about all the peer-to-peer to explain how a decentralized application can work and different security problem we could have and how to fix. And maybe I will speak also about different bugs I found and got fixed in different release. So yeah, it will be mostly about DERO and what I did on it, and also about what Captain did with its code, and explain it to a height level so everyone can understand the technology used for it.
Amazing. I think that that's going to be a talk that will be packed because I feel you work really closely with Captain. Out of all of us, I feel like you work really closely on the code. And so it's going to be so fascinating, even though I won't probably understand even 5% of your talk. I think it'll be really fascinating for people who do know a little bit more about code and want to get into the technicals about DERO, because that information is super lacking on the internet. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even if you look at the website and the white paper or even maybe the GitHub, it's a little bit like outdated or hard to read. Would you agree with that, Slixe? How is the GitHub? Is DERO's GitHub like up to date and accurate as of now?
For the moment, yeah, there is still some missing functionality or explanation on the GitHub. That's why I was working on it. Like last time I did an update of the README of the main repo on the GitHub to have new information, the new feature of DERO to explain and to keep like some history of the old one. I was the first to also do the all API for other developer to use the wallet API and daemon. So yeah, we still a lot of work to do, but we start to be approaching the goal that we all fixed.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It's really exciting to finally I know I've been pestering you about being on one of my episodes for a while, and you're busy and, you know, probably working in college full time. So I'm grateful. Next on my list here, we have Apollo. Apollo is the host of the Dirty Daily DERO, and he's, you know, really prolific in developing apps. I think you were one of the first ones, you and Six, to do stuff that I got to use. So I was really happy about that. Apollo, welcome. Welcome.
Hello, Kalina. Thank you. Good to talk with you. It's been a while.
So Apollo, what are you speaking on at the event?
Well, I think I'll just talk about my own little corner, my own little journey in DERO, just how I got into it and what I've done and what the state of things are and the plans for things are, the things I'm working on. Also, Six and I have been talking about doing a workshop. Is that loud? Can you hear that vehicle? I'm sorry about that.
It's cool. Go on.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to talk about, you know, the things I'm working on, like, you know, private islands, where it's going, where it's at, and Airbnb, and also the course Six and I are doing. We've been talking about doing a workshop with that, DERO Dev 101. So that's kind of the overview, what I'm thinking about.
I love it. And congratulations, by the way, on Airbnb. Oh my goodness. Maybe in post, I'll put like that little video of the walkthrough of what you guys have been doing, because that was just so exciting. And yeah. I mean, wow, like how close are you guys to launching that?
I think that's about a month or so away. So coming fast, yeah.
Amazing. I'm particularly stoked about that. Thank you for sharing. I'm looking forward to your workshop with Six as well. Alrighty. Well, how about you, Six? Do you want to chat with us and tell us a little update, what you're working on, what you're going to be presenting on at the conference?
Sure. Thanks for having me on the show. So my presentation at Nonsensus is going to focus broadly on utility. So that's going to be different things that you can do on DERO and with the currently available tools that DERO has. I think I can elaborate on that a little bit. So for me personally, learning crypto, I don't feel was an easy thing, and I feel like that resonates in many other people out there. There's a lot of the topics and discussions that we plan to share and that we already do share amongst ourselves that I don't think are going to be the most easily grasped by people without a base level of knowledge to understand these things. And that's definitely been a big driving factor in the work that I've done on DERO and the things that I'd like to continue to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely appreciate all your work and all the cool things that you've done. And I know that when you guys team up and do your workshop, it's definitely going to be packed also. I want to take it. I've been meaning to take your guys' class, and I admit I've been a little bit away from DERO. I think I'm just really overwhelmed with all the amazing things I have to choose from in my life to do. But thanks for sharing that, Six. I'm looking forward to finally like being in the same room with everybody. I feel like we've been chatting and collaborating for what now, almost 2 years? I don't even know, maybe a year and a half, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good to see everybody. Okay, who is up? CakeMaster. CakeMaster and I are going to do a workshop together to be determined. We've got some pretty cool ideas for you, but I'll let you chat more about what you're speaking on. And congratulations on minting your new token. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. That's a good place to start. So I don't know how many of you guys have been following this Jones Plantation film that's just recently come out, but it's really, really good and it's totally worth watching if you haven't already. So there was a part in the film, this won't spoil it for people that haven't seen it, but they say they're going to pay them like a penny, and then the guy's like, you're not actually going to pay them, are you? And then later in the film, they don't get the real money. They get these Jones Plantation credits, which is basically fiat currency, right? So I thought it'd be funny to just kind of play on that idea of the film and then just mint the Jones Plantation credits and then just give them away to people that have watched the film and take the time to set up a DERO wallet. And I've been talking to Secret about some fun ways where we could automate the distribution of that. So that's another little project I'll be working on in the background. But yeah, anybody here that wants some, just hit me up and I'll ping them across.
How many did you make?
I went for 777,777. It is, yeah.
Nice.
Somebody told me once that the number 7 like represents freedom, so I just thought, well, I can't just mint 7 tokens, so let's bag a bit more.
Awesome. And what are you going to be chatting about at the event?
So yeah, when Azylem messaged me initially asking if I wanted to talk, at first I was like, oh, what am I going to talk about? And next day it just hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like, oh, I know exactly what I need to talk about, because I was just talking to my 5-year-old about, you know, the fire triangle, how you've got like those 3 components to a fire triangle, where you need like a fuel source, you need heat, and you need oxygen. If you take away any one of those elements, then the fire doesn't burn. And it was just after I'd spoken about this with my kid, it just dawned on me there's like 3 elements that we need to kind of keep civilization running. And that would be like agriculture for the food, for the fuel, right? You need energy as like a heat source to keep us all warm and keep everything running. But then you need the finance, and that's like the oxygen that keeps everything kind of flowing, right? And I just see like these 3 elements, if we can decentralize them, then we have a much more resilient civilization. So my talk's going to be just exploring these areas and how DERO could help with the facilitating of this kind of unfolding of how we decentralize those areas.
Very good. Yeah, nice. Super creative. I like that. And that'll kind of tie into our workshop that we're planning on doing. So just to give you guys a little sneak peek of what we're going to be doing is we're teaching a workshop where actually it's not even a teaching, it's a facilitating and a leading of a brainstorm session, like a massive mastermind. And it's going to lead into some of the ideas that CakeMaster is just talking about. And we're hoping to pull people together. And I know there's going to be people from Pirate Chain and possibly other privacy protocols, or maybe just, you know, surveillance chain protocols in general. Who knows? Who knows who's going to show up for us? But I think it'll be really cool to get to brainstorm ideas, because maybe the solutions that I wish that were in place, I don't have the ability to see. But if we've got 10 people in a room, we might be able to discover that. So I'm happy. I think it's going to be nice. We're going to do some nice vasopressin creating workshop or activities. So more on that later. But who's next on my list to chat about what you're speaking? Oh, goodness. The OA. You haven't spoken yet. What are you going to share?
Hello. Yes. Well, got approached to speak at Nonsensus, and there was probably a couple areas I could look to put some kind of presentation together that would be interesting. And I thought, because it's a blockchain conference, or looking to be that, and more in line with the way I look at Nonsensus is trying to get back to almost sort of grassroots cool stuff, which is kind of how I describe blockchain, and especially since these smart contract platforms came around, is it gives you the opportunity to make autonomous, immutable, if you want to go that far, so self-executing code. So I'm going to do a talk on stable coins. It's going to be a broad stroke on stable coins, and it's going to be focused around what actually got me interested in stable coins. Because stable coins, when you initially hear it, it doesn't sound very interesting, but at the same time, everyone has an opinion. It's an interesting thing, and I think the crux of the entire discussion around stable coins, or when people speak about stable coins, is have you actually defined what is stable? So when we talk about and think about stable coins, you probably think about dollar pegged. That's the stability. What if it's not? What if it's something else? What if stable is stable in your purchasing power, right? So I'm going to just have a broad stroke, as I said, on stable coins, and I'm going to attempt to show where we came from, where we are, and where we're going. And it's cool.
Yeah, as long as I've known you, you've been always down for a conversation regarding stable. I think that our first interaction was in the DERO community server stablecoin chat, actually. So it's nice to see that, the consistency, and to watch you as you've grown and evolved your ideas over time. And I know I certainly have. I kind of think I might know what a stablecoin is now compared to 2 years ago. So
yeah, well, just like as like a little taster, can you create something that's basically more stable whilst being completely like a closed system? It remains stable based on its own information in this closed system, and that closed system being the blockchain. Can you create it with on-chain data? So we have no external dependencies. This is the area and the direction that I discovered, and is what I'd like to look towards. And it does seem to be possible. So yeah, cool. Exciting. Yeah, it's going to be good. And that might not be it. I'm just feeling this out as I go. I've never presented to people before, so I may be good at it, I may be terrible at it. We're going to find out. It's going to be fun.
You're going to be phenomenal. Phenoms. Everybody is going to be great. You know why? Because we're passionate about what we do, and it's the content more over than the presentation, right? So each of you guys have extremely valuable content to provide. And I think that this is going to really set a precedence for all of our future conferences and events and speakers. And right now, DERO's just kind of like, we're still congealing ourselves, and each one of us are going to go out and branch off and go and speak to our respective communities out there also, potentially, right? In my vision, there's a potentiality for us all to get really good at speaking so that we can share the message, because DERO needs it needs to be shouted from the rooftops, in my opinion. And I mean, of course, it's fine that it's not really like that right now, that nobody really knows about it except for a small percentage. But I think that there will come a time very soon where DERO is going to need to be we need to bust out of our little shell and really tell people about the solutions that are waiting for them to protect our privacy, and just why we might need that, right? So my question is, Kryptoid and Azylem, you guys have on there something very curious to me on the scheduled lineup, a special presentation. Can you tell us a little bit, give us a little hint on what that might mean?
It's special.
And it's a presentation. No, so Captain wanted to, he wanted to give a speech and kind of reach out to everybody and talk about what he wants to talk about. But obviously, we're not going to see him there in person. So basically, we're going to be putting together a presentation for Captain and with Captain. And it will be, it will be debuted at Nonsensus for everyone to see.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, wow. Do you think Captain will be there like as the janitor or something really, obscure just to like kind of be with us?
In a word, no.
One can hope. One can hope. So my question now is for just anybody who wants to speak on it. How does it feel if you've been deep and on and never really even come on a podcast? How does it feel for you guys to be leaving wherever you are? I know some of you are coming from, Europe and other places. How does it feel to leave the comfortability of behind your screen and meet people from DERO, a community that you interact with daily for years? What's that like for you guys?
Well, for me, it's that portion is fine. I meet people in real life all the time. The coming together of the community and like you said earlier, just someone's kind of got to take the torch and just bear it and drive forward. I'm happy to shoulder some stuff and let's drive it forward, right? So I'm doing it for all of us, and I'm happy to come out and physically do it. So yeah, that's why.
And if I could just add to that, that's the attitude of pretty much everybody that's been talking. And to me, it just shows, that our community is willing to come together and willing to share, and everyone's just ready to move forward and start building bigger and better things. And it's just great to see everybody here coming together and doing this.
Yeah, I would also add the quality of the community is what's aided in this. I know it's not going to be wasted, right? Because I know the quality of the people that are attracted and seem to find their way to this community. That's going to be interesting, right? Let's do it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, so for me, I will come from France, Strasbourg to be exact, and it will be a travel time of 32 hours by plane, and so it will be my first time I will take the plane with such hour, and first time also I will go to USA. Also, what's the most important is that, well, you will all see me for real, and I will not be behind a username like I always was and speaking on Discord or whatever. So, but I think it will be a good way to help DERO, because I will try to speak by my best about things to attract people and to make them understand what's really going on with DERO. And so, and because I'm not so sociable, will be a way for me to improve myself too.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Right. Like stepping out of our comfort zones. And if I remember correctly, you're quite young, really pushes us, right? Because we have to be in a group. Oh my gosh. And then we discover, oh, wait, I've not only grown as a person, I'm way better about my social skills, and I'm more in a position where I can be of service more because we face our fears. So yeah. How about anybody else on this?
I can keep talking just from personal experience. We've all known each other for years at this point. And some of us for quite a few years. Once you meet somebody in person that you've known for so long, it's kind of strange at first, but as soon as you just cross that barrier, it's really nice to just get to know people in person, I think. And, kind of getting back to the people separating their digital lives from their real lives so much nowadays. A lot of people tend to do that just because they are concerned about their privacy and stuff. But now we have these tools where we can be people again, and we can meet up in person, and we don't have to worry about all of that so much, right? So I think that everybody getting together and actually meeting in person is just going to be a huge milestone on its own for our community. It's just a start to a whole new era of what we can do.
I love that. Yeah, out of all of you, so far, the only person I've met in person, obviously, is CakeMaster. And I mean, CakeMaster had me fooled on so many. He's got multiple identities on different platforms, and he introduced himself as one, and then later he introduced himself as the other. And I had been friends with one of them for like really like deep friends, like discussing deep spiritual matters. And then on the other one, like kind of more doing business and more logistic stuff. And then when he told me he was both, I was like, oh my God, it was awesome. And it was just like an instant friendship. And it was amazing. Like at the Anarchapulco event, like me and him were just like invincible tag team duo. And, I really did wish that there was more DERO people there. There were a couple other ones that we palled around with for a little bit, but for sure, the resonance of DERO people based off of my one experience with CakeMaster is just, it's off the charts. Like DERO community people are so cool, and we're a little different, but we're I really like us. So I think it's going to be a really fun event. Does anybody else want to chat about that, or maybe CakeMaster?
Yeah, I just second exactly what you said. Like the reason I even went to Acapulco this year was because of you and your tarot cards. Because I was like umming and ahhing about it for weeks, and then I asked your cards like, "Hey, like, do I go to Acapulco or do I go and see my friend in Finland?" And the card was just like, "You can do both." I'm just like, "Oh, fuck it, I'm gonna do both." As soon as I got there and I was talking to you, I was like, "Yeah, I'm definitely supposed to be here." Like, yeah, it would have been nice if there was more DERO people, but that's what Nonsensus is for, right? And yeah, if it's anything like what we had there, then this is going to be an incredible event. I'm very sure of that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Anybody else want to chat on that question about like how does it feel to be coming out of the shadows, so to speak?
I'm excited to be a human again.
Yeah.
Rather than being a ghost on the internet reading everybody's chats for the last 2 decades.
Yeah, sure. Going out of my cave will be a good step for me.
You guys will get some sunlight. It's going to be fantastic.
Hey, remember, it is Phoenix, so don't get too
Oh.
much sunlight.
Oh, really? It's not always sunny in Phoenix?
Oh, no, I just said don't get too much sunlight when you go there. But actually, this time of year that the event's going to be in, it should be a good 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And I say Fahrenheit because like there's not very many Americans on this board of people. So
that don't mean nothing to me.
Yeah, we only use
Yeah,
20,
same for me.
Is that 20 degrees?
21 degrees Celsius.
Okay, that's lovely.
yeah, it's not
Not
bad.
too hot, not too cold.
Yeah, it should be pretty good that time of year. So everyone feel free to bring your swimsuits.
Nah.
Yeah, I figured that was a hard pass.
I'm excited to actually like be in Phoenix, but it would be a lot cooler if there was an ocean there. Kryptoid, do you think you could get your guys on that?
I'll see what I can do, but I highly doubt I can get an ocean move there. Maybe we can annex part of Mexico and do it there instead. But
Okay. Yeah. And why'd you guys choose Phoenix this year as opposed to like Mexico?
well, we knew we were going to do it in the U.S. And that was just mostly because it was either U.S. or Canada, and Canada that this time of year. You know, we've still been thinking about doing it in Canada around that time of year, but it's going to be much colder, and you know, we didn't think a lot of people would want to jump the gun and just go and play in the snow immediately. So, you know, Phoenix is closer to where I'm at. It was easier logistically to get things together. We did throw around a couple other places. And obviously, after we all get together and talk, we can talk about where we actually want to do it again next year. It doesn't have to be stateside. You know, there's a lot of people traveling in this year. So maybe some other people like me, I guess, need to travel somewhere else next year. But the plan is to move it around.
Snow is very healthy, by the way. You guys all need some.
Nah, it's all good. I'll pass.
Well, there's always Puerto Rico.
That's
Cool.
just the U.S. with extra steps.
There's really pretty beaches here, though. You're gonna really like it. Like, it's really pretty. I know that, like, I've invited you guys to come to the temple afterwards. I don't know if anybody's taken me up on that offer yet. Maybe Apollo, are you planning on doing that?
I'm not sure. I was thinking I wanted to have the film festival out there, right? But as I was saying the other day, I've really not been doing much to generate excitement. I've been not prioritizing it, and frankly, I don't think I really know how to generate excitement for it. So I don't know. I would like to see it. I wanted to. I mean, you're the first listening on Airbnb, so I wanted to, you know, make use of the platform as well in that way. I thought that'd be cool, and yeah, it looks like such a beautiful spot. I thought, you know, if I'm already traveling, maybe go there after, but I don't know. We haven't really talked about it much in the recent months. What are you thinking?
I'm down. I know CakeMaster is going to come and spend some time here on the island.
Sure.
So just like directly after Nonsensus, or
no? I'm gonna stay in Mexico for like a month before, I think, and then then I'll head there.
Where about? Well, you don't have to answer, but where in Mexico?
Oaxaca.
I'll be in like the Yucatan area initially, and then I'm gonna head back to Mexico after I've stayed at Calinas and probably just jam there until Acapulco.
Cool.
Sick life.
Right, amazing.
Yeah, some of us have to work for a living.
Yeah.
I just couldn't stomach another winter in the UK with my kid. I'm just like, he's
So you
like
left
5
me here.
now, and yeah, winter in the UK sucks. So
Cheers, mate.
Let's get him out.
Cheers for leaving me here on this little horrible island.
Sorry, bro.
Chained to this island.
By choice. Well, what else is cool? What else do you guys want
By
to chat about
contract.
before we leave today? Secret, I know you got cool stuff going on.
Oh man, I'm so stoked for Nonsensus, guys. You're all my best friends. I hang out with you every
Jesus.
single day of my life, and it's so exciting. So we're all gonna have this great time in Phoenix, gonna have a really good time, and I'm just stoked about it. Like, we could talk about the tech all day. It's because it's what we already do, and we're going to introduce a lot of cool people to the tech. But I think that what we're really going to find when we're there is that we're all very real people, and we all have very real things that we want to contribute to the world with this technology. So I'm pretty stoked.
I'm stoked that you're stoked.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with both of you.
Like I remember a long time ago, and I totally understand why. Totally understand why. There are so many scammers that come into the community that when Azylem approached me in the DMs, he was kind of like, "What are you all about?" And I was like, "Bro, I'm just a person." And he's like, "There's a lot of bots out here." And I was like, "Yeah, there is, but let's figure this all out." And yeah, like Azylem, dude, you're like one of my really close friends, and like I'm so stoked to actually get to meet you and shake your hand, and thank you for introducing me to such a cool community. So I'm very grateful, man.
No problem, man. That's actually part of my talk. I wanted to talk about social differences between the types of people that I see getting into DERO and building on DERO. It's interesting because it's quite a broad spectrum of people that cover pretty much just about every specialty there is out there as a group. Interesting.
It is interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's going to be super fascinating. You're basically going to like socially profile us and then tell us about ourselves.
Yeah, well, I mean, another thing I wanted to talk about was in the privacy space, you kind of get a lot of reserved people that don't expose anything about themselves. And so when they stumble upon DERO, they're fascinated with how they can utilize that to their advantage for the things that they want to build. And then you put those people in the same room as people that want to spread awareness about everything to the whole world and get everybody using something like DERO. Those two types of people together, they kind of cover a whole spectrum that the world needs, people that are protective, and then the people that are just out there, that stuff interests me because I see one without the other doesn't get much done, I guess, in the world, and everybody being together, working on the same things, even though they understand each other's differences. Probably for the first time I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the dynamic of all of the individuals that all seem to have their area of expertise and the archetypes that come together. And it all seems so cliche, but it's like it's not, and it's actually how it comes together. And cliche is cliche because it is what is. It's just what happens. It's like the A-Team, it's like the Avengers, right? We all have our role and we're settling into those.
I remember when I first got into crypto, the crypto spheres were broken down into 3 segments. You had the innovators, the early adopters, and then the adopters. And so, for example, Bitcoin right now would be in its adoption phase. Everybody knows about it. It's the go-to, right? Well, for DERO, I think we're still kind of in the innovators, early adopters phase. So to meet those type of minds, still early to what DERO is, I think we'll have an opportunity to look back and say, wow, these people were way ahead of the curve and have like that kind of legacy to go on to. So it's pretty cool.
Like the community in DERO is as cool as the tech behind it. Like I've been crypto for like, I don't know, 8 years now. And when I got in, I just felt like a stranger everywhere I went. Every project I got involved with and every community, they were all just like really nothing like the people in this community. Like you'd bring up a point of any contention and people would be like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist and stuff like that. But here, like people just see reality very honestly and want to talk about building a better world rather than chasing green candles and shit talking about, I don't know, other projects. Like we don't really shit on other projects here unless they're actually like, if they're shit, but we're not like, oh, we're so much better than them. We just focus on our own thing here, right? And that's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, people hear the term nonsensus and they automatically think it's negative or it's an attack or something like that on something else. But I think this is really going to be one of the most positive events we could possibly have in our community. I don't think anyone is going to be there to not support each other. I don't think anyone's going to be there to just attack other projects or other events or anything like that. It's just, this is going to be, in my opinion, this is just going to be a huge step forward for us as a community as a whole, really, to just get everybody together and get that positive vibe established properly, right?
Yeah, I like those positive vibes. I mean, we're going to have some of the most brilliant people all in the same room talking about the future, and like the future is always bright. And when you have like, big brains in the room talking about the future, there are so many possibilities that will come out of it. And that excitement is like driving me forward towards that. And I know that, everybody comes from a different perspective and a different worldview and a different opinion about what the future is supposed to look like. But I guess the nonsensus about all of it is that, we can achieve some semblance of consensus about kind of what that looks like. And, I kind of have to think like the DERO project kind of points at some like basic like modes of ethics for how to like be, like prove your work, like establish peers, like conduct yourself in a manner that's, I guess you could call it regular, but I mean that could go so many different ways. But just that there's a systematic approach to achieving an immense change in the world. And I think that nonsensus is kind of, it like reverberates the Stargate, right? And it's just going to open this portal into the future. And like, we're all going to step through that, and everybody there is going to feel it. We're just going to step through this gate, and we're going to be in an entirely different understanding of how the future is going to be for, probably everyone. I mean, guys, DERO it's a milestone in human history, and we're a part of that. We're helping shape it, its culture, its technology, its relationships, it's the knowledge basis of it. And I mean, that to me is amazing. And I just feel so honored to be able to like go and speak, and like have people listen to me and tell them like, hey, cool stuff is coming out of my face right now. And it's all because we all believe that deep down there are some things about our lives and that are other people's business, and it's not for them to know, and that there's ways of, reestablishing our personal power. And so I really see this as, the grassroots kind of taking back the power. It feels so cool.
It's really inspiring, Secret, to hear you speak like that, because when you're so zoomed in on DERO, it's kind of hard to really see that, at least for me. I know that the reason I'm here is because humanity needs this, and more importantly, I need this, my people need this. But when you're getting focused on projects, and little things here and there, you forget the magnitude of what we're really doing. And I think you just tied it really well together for us. It's a profound, life-shifting, like there's no going back. And it's really kind of silly, because like looking at us here, we are extraordinary people in a way, but we're also very like normal people. Like myself, like just based off me, I'm not really anything that special. I'm just kind of like, living life just for fun. And yet I get to be involved with something that is so profound, and it's hard to wrap the brain around the impacts that DERO has the potential to bring humanity. So thank you for putting that out there on the table and driving this home and really reminding us of why we're here and what it is that why we dedicate our lives and every day to being involved with DERO. So wow, yeah, super, super profound, Secret.
Yeah, DERO is more than just the technology, and the technology has then brought together the people. And now because of that, it fostered this ethos, and now it's more than just the technology we've come together to create. It's been over 1.5 years since the launch of Stargate. It's a lot of learning, and most of us were here before that anyways. So if you actually think back, like we've been through a lot, especially just in the last 1.5 years alone, just with Stargate launch. We're learning about the technology, we're learning about each other, and we're learning about ourselves, because I can probably say that most of us here wouldn't have probably done this 1 year ago.
I'm just going to have to step in and say, like, the one person that I am absolutely so stoked to just sit and listen to. I mean, we're all going to sit, we're all going to talk, like that's what we're going to do. And we're all going to be really stoked. But I got to say, I'm really stoked to see and hear from Slixe. He is, bro, salute, man. Like, your knowledge of this space has served as kind of like a pillar for a lot of people. And that can't ever be taken lightly, ever. So I'm really stoked to hear from you. I'm not trying to like create like pressure, but dude, your stuff, and that's so valuable. It's so valuable to get to hear somebody who's able to take, something, a really big machine of logic and math, and make it like really elegantly simple for people to understand. And like I'm staring at your RPC API stuff right now and like trying to build bots and stuff. And like that one thing that you did, it it's I spend so much time with your work, man. And I know a lot of us have. And so like I'm so stoked to hear like what you're going to be sharing. Like, oh, the profundities. I'm just so excited.
Thanks a lot, but yeah, I will try to do my best for it. It will be difficult in English for me, but as said, I will try my best, and with the help of Azylem, I will try to do everything beautiful in the presentation. So thanks to him too, and yeah, thanks. It stuck me a lot. I hope to continue to build like this, and your word give me a lot of support and give me motivation to continue what I do. Of course, Captain helped me a lot too because when I speak with him or whatever, he tried to give me a solution, and it's him who gave me all this motivation too. Because if he wasn't here, I don't think I will stay following DERO for like 5 years like I'm doing. Because I followed DERO since the beginning of the project, and it's like this I could learn what I know now, because I was reading every day the code to try to understand, and because I was working on my side in computer, I was just doing some stuff to understand, and by practicing. And so I will be really glad to share my knowledge, the little I know, because from my 22 years old, I'm really far from everything that Captain could share with us, but I will try my best.
Slixe, how did you find DERO? Like, you're so young. Like, how did you even, you were what, like 17 when you found it or something? Like, how?
I found DERO when I was 16, and because I was mining, I was in the cryptocurrencies world and all this because of mining. In fact, the first time I go in Bitcoin and Ethereum and Monero, it when I was 14. I was checking, to be honest, just to make some money at my age, because I wanted to buy some stuff or such things, and I was really interested in this. And because I was interested in being a developer, I was just practicing. I was doing some stuff on the side, like coding from some people, and they were giving money. And with this money, I bought some stuff to mine. So I bought my first GPU to start mining some coin like Zencash, which is now Horizon. After I was mining Monero, and after I was searching for something much more interesting. So I was on Bitcoin Talk, the famous forum, and I was checking for a new proof of work cryptocurrency. And because I was already a bit in the Monero stuff, I was looking for a cryptonaut protocol, and that's how I found DERO, which was launched in December 2000. And I was like, "Wow, this really looks good," because you will have the Ethereum smart contract on the cryptonaut protocol, so you will mix the privacy with the ape. And so I was like, "Okay, I should do myself a small bag." But in fact, it was not a small bag, because at this time I didn't know that I will spend most of my free time from my life during 5 years on it, to learn more and more and to keep supporting it and building on it. In fact, I was mining it, and I even sold my GPU and all this after 1 or 2 years to buy more DERO, and I was keeping my investment in it, because I think I truly understand what the purpose of cryptocurrency is. It's to be decentralized, so everyone has the same permission on it. Nobody can create anything out of here, and because the cryptocurrency should be private. So like, if you will buy, I will do my French, but if you want to buy a baguette, some bread to a shop, you will not buy with Bitcoin, because like the seller can just see how much you pay, how much when you paid, how much you have on your balance and such things. It's not private at all. Like, you, even if you have nothing to hide, why I will show it to other people? It's I was really interested by DERO, because like, it will be really the mix and the cryptocurrency of the dream of a lot of people. Like, bringing privacy to everyone easily and in a decentralized manner, which Astro by WT for the algorithm mining is really helping, because everyone can mine it and create his first small bag with his computer, his phone, or whatever. And the app, so to build any application which will not have any problem with laws or regulation of government or censure, in fact. So it's for the small story.
I want to actually build on that because, Kryptoid and Azylem, they went to Consensus and they're talking about how it just felt like a finance conference. And when you're dealing with transparency chains, well, you know where all the money is, you know who has it, and you're trying to woo them into deals and stuff like that. And when you're able to just put that aside, like literally just put the balances aside for a minute, we can actually start talking about the problems that are facing us, and our futures. And so I really appreciate you bringing up that point, because Nonsensus isn't about the money. It's about, maybe it kind of is about just, what do you think it's really about, Kryptoid?
It's about cryptocurrency and what it's supposed to be, not necessarily linking your cryptocurrency into the old systems, or things like Bitcoin. Though I kind of want to add what Slixe was saying too. When you have a balance that everybody can see, that is good for transparency, like you were talking about in these financial groups and all that kind of stuff. But when you go to the store and you buy a baguette, do you really need to be showing everybody how much money's in your bank account? I don't think anybody's comfortable with that at the end of the day. So, what Nonsensus is about is like you were saying, it's about the freedom, it's about the technology, it's about moving forward, with solutions for problems that are out there. It's not necessarily just about DERO to the moon or X coin to the moon or Y coin to the moon, right? It's about, does this actually solve something? Is this actually useful? What should we be doing as a society and as people? Not necessarily what should we be buying.
It's nice to explain to the public as a group why consumerism and cryptocurrency were never really compatible. They're two different modes of operating, and just because something can be traded, that doesn't mean that that's its purpose.
Yeah, 100%.
So Kryptoid, I know you might have to leave us here shortly. And so my last questions for you specifically, well, you and Azylem, you guys have been chatting with Captain about this. What does Captain think about the event? Any feedback that you can share?
If anybody's talked to Captain, I'm sure you know that the feedback is very sparse and limited. But essentially, in a lot of ways, I think everybody kind of looks at Captain as a mentor, and he kind of acts like a mentor too. But in a lot of ways with this whole event, he's just happy to see everybody coming together and doing something and getting together in person. He's been pushing for that for a long time, actually. So this is long overdue, but at the same time, I think the timing is just right as well. But yeah, his feedback has been pretty limited, but he's very supportive. Obviously, the project is one of the sponsors of the event, which helps us a lot. And I think he's, if I could put words into his mouth, I think he's more curious on how it's all going to end up and how it's going to go. But I think he has full faith in us to get it done right.
Awesome. Azylem, anything to add to that?
I think, like what he was saying, it's been a long time coming. I think Captain's been kind of waiting a long time to see who's going to step up and start telling the truth. But I'm sure he's happy.
Awesome. Okay, so if you do have to go, maybe this is a good spot to wrap it up. From those of you guys that we haven't heard much from you, or just maybe a few things, do you want to share anything else? Like, what are some thoughts, closing thoughts regarding Nonsensus or anything?
I'm just really grateful that this thing is actually happening, and for everybody that's involved in making this happen. It's going to be amazing. I just can't wait now.
Yeah, I'm
looking
happy to be a part of it. Happy to come along. It's going to be a success, man. Let's do it.
Woo! That is exactly what I was just going to say, the OA. I feel the same.
Nice.
Everybody's probably up really late or up really early to make this cover. We're all a little bit brain dead.
It's all good. I like to sit and make the pauses real awkward till somebody talks.
Yeah, it's a good, I like it. I noticed.
Apollo, any closing thoughts, ideas?
Well, I'm really looking forward to this. It was touched on earlier, but I agree the community really is something special. From everything I've seen in crypto, it's like it just feels kind of more human somehow, the things that are being built, the things that the projects that are built and the people it attracts. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting y'all guys. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a great time, and I'm looking forward to all your talks, and I'm gonna do the best I can to bring the best I can for y'all. And yeah, thank you.
I'm excited to meet you.
We could finally prove that me and Azylem are in fact two different people,
Questionable.
I can stop getting your death threats.
right? Get them all funneled the right direction.
BWaldo, you're going to share something?
I was just saying thanks for the invite. It was awesome to hear from each of you, and I'm so stoked to go out to Phoenix and pal around. Even once we get done with the gritty nerd talking, the palling around is what I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna have you guys clowning out. So see you there.
Okay, well, so thank you guys so much for joining me today. I think this is the most people I've ever had on the portal, and I'm super, super honored it was you guys. And it's been a long time coming to chat with many of you, and I hope we get to have more in-depth chats together, because there's a lot of questions that I'd love to ask you guys, but for the sake of time, I am not going to. I am refraining, but maybe that day will come when we get to chat more in depth.
We'll do this again.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, in that case, then we will call it a day. Thanks again for being with us here.
Thank you,
Thank
Kalina.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Boom. Right.
Have a good one.
Yeah.